If you want to execute something until this particular condition is true, then we have loops, right? So when it comes to Java, we have multiple loops. We have for loops mainly, then not a while loop and do while loop. Right. First I'm going to discuss for loop. That means under for loop, we have for loop, then after nested for loop, enhanced for loop, and also infinite for loop. So we'll do some practical example for this one also. Right. So what is the definition? For loop is used to execute a set of statements repeatedly until a particular condition returns false. Until this particular condition return false, it will execute. If this one is not false, then it will execute infinitely, right, n number of times. So what is the structure for the for loop? We have three elements and then not a statement. So first one is initialization. That means variable initialization. I is equal to 0 or j is equal to 10. You will see something like this. You can use any variable, right? And this initialization part is optional. If you want, you can initialize here. Otherwise, you can do this one somewhere else. And also this one is going to execute only once. When it comes to for loop, initialization will happen only once. After that, it will move into the condition. If condition is true, for example, I less than 20, condition is true, right? Because I is 0. Then it will execute this statement. First one is here, only one. Then after it will come to here, condition is true. It will execute all the statement. After that, it will pass the control into the increment or decrement. That means I plus plus or I minus minus based on the situation. Of course, you can increase I is equal like this. You can increase I by 2, 2 by 2 or 3 by 3 if you want. But mainly we are using I plus plus and I minus minus, increment or decrement. Right. So what will happen if I put I plus plus? Then I will be, initial I is 0. Now I will be 1. Again it will come to here, condition is true, 1 less than 20, it will execute. Again increment, condition, statement, increment, condition, like that. Finally I will become 20. On that time condition is false. That means loops will stop. So this is how it is work. So initialization only once, right? Initialization only once. It is not going to execute multiple time. It will execute only one time. Right. So we have condition checking. If we have decrement or increment operator, then after we have statement. So what is happening here? When you start for loop, it will come to initialization only one. Then after first one is what? Condition checking, statement, increment or decrement, like that it will execute. Again condition checking, statement, increment or decrement. If the condition is false, it will stop the loop. Okay, so we will do one example. I have opened VS Code. I'm going to create one for loop with the keyword for. Integer will take variable num. Initially this is 0 until num less than equal to 10, less than 10, num plus plus. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to print the number is 1, number is 2, number is 3, like that I'm going to print. So number is starting from 0. It will execute until number less than 10. That means it will print from 0 to 9, including 9, right? System.out.println. The number is, then after we can print the number. Right, I'm going to compile this one. So it will print from 0 to 9 without an issue. The number is 9, from 0 to 9, right? Okay, so why we are going to use this loop? Do we need this loop? Can we print this out without using a loop? Yes, right? So we can print like this. You have to pass 10 output line, then after you have to change this number from 0 to 9. Then what will happen if you have 1 million numbers, 1 million execution? On that time, are you going to write your code like this? No. On that point, you can use loops. If you are going to do same thing repeatedly, then on that time, you can achieve this one using loops, maybe for loop or while loop or do while loop. So this is normal for loop, right? Based on the condition, it will execute. Here you can see integer num is equal to 0 is here. But if you want, you can pass that one here. Integer num is initially 0. Then I'm going to remove this section from here. This is also fine. It will give the same output. I'm going to compile this one. It will print the same output, right? No issue. Okay, so we'll move back in the previous one. Right, this is how the basic for loop is structured. If you want, you can create variable here, or else you can create variable somewhere before that line. So after that we have nested for loop. That means we have for loop inside another for loop. So I'm going to create one for loop integer I is equal to 0, I less than equal to 6, I plus plus. Then after inside this for loop we can create another for loop. Integer j is equal to 0, j less than equal to I, then after j plus plus. Now I'm going to print a string system.out.println, print asterisk and space, and we'll print a new line here, system.out.println. Here we will have a new line. Okay, so I'm going to execute this one. No need to put this one, right? It will add the new line. Print ln print new line. Alright, so we need to add /n character to separate this one. Okay, it is executing, but here something is happening. When I put println, it is going to print new line for each and every after each and every character. I'm going to remove this new line. I'm going to just put print ln. Without println, just going to put print. That means it is not going to print a new line. Right, now you can see we have this pyramid output, right? So here you can see we are getting two new line because I placed this /n also. We remove this one also. Now it will print a pyramid. So we can get this kind of output. That means here you can see we have rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Columns will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns also. So what is happening here mean this first for loop is for the rows. Second one is for the columns. So we have from 0 to 6, that means 7 rows, then out again 7 columns. Now I want to print the opposite of this for loop, that means pyramid. What I need to change? I need to change values of these two for loops, then after it will rotate the pyramid, right? Okay, so this is how nested for loop work. That means for loop inside another for loop. Now next thing is you can print an infinite for loop. That means it will print n number of time. So what you can do when you take a for loop, so this is happening mistaken, right? For example, integer I is equal to 0. Then until I greater than or equal to 0, I plus plus. Now what will happen? Initial I is 0, that is fine. Then after it will check the condition, write 0 greater than equal to 0 condition is true. It will execute whichever things here. Then after it will come to here, I plus plus. Again, now I is increasing. That means condition is always true. So this loop is not gonna stop, right? So we are placing this increment or decrement operator to stop loop at some point. But if I put I plus plus, then it is not going to stop. So our output will be something like this. Infinite loop. So I'm going to comment down previous section. That means this section. Okay, now we have our infinite loop. We'll compile this one. Now you can see output is continuously executed, right? There is no limitation. So this is how infinite loops is working. Right, so when you put a condition, always check whether condition is going to false at some point, otherwise your program will execute continuously. Always put the increment or decrement based on the situation. For example, if I put something like this, if you want, okay, we'll take a new code, right? If you want, you can put your code like this: for integer j is equal to 0 until j less than equal to 10, j is equal to. Now j is increment by how many numbers? J will increment by 2 by 2, right? It will increment from by 2 by 2. Now I'm going to run this program. J value will be 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10. Instead of j plus plus, I have placed j is equal j plus 2. That means it will increment 2 by 2. Right, so these are the basic thing when it comes to for loop. So we have another thing. That means think you want to print you have array. Array mean values of the same data type. We have a collection of values of the same data type, right? We are going to discuss this thing. Just for example, I'm going to get one array, integer array. So we'll have value 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we have these values, right? All these values are integer values. We have created one variable to store multiple values of the same data type. Now I'm going to print this array using enhanced for loop. Integer num of arr will be system.out.println num. So like that we can go through array without any issue. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. So it is printing 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10 by using an enhanced for loop. We are calling this enhanced for loop. So first one is identifying variable, then after your array name. So each and every element we can identify using this num variable, right? To go through array we can use enhanced for loop. If you want, you can use this for loop also, that is fine. Otherwise you can use this one. So if you are going to use normal for loop, it will be something like this. Integer I is equal to 0 because array is starting from the 0. I less than, so our array length is what? 6, right? I plus plus. Then after system.out.println arr value will be arr I value. Like this. It will print the output. It will print all the output, right? Both are working in the same manner, but this one is shorter, right? So this one is easier for the arrays. Okay, so we have discussed enhanced for loop. Then after infinite for loop, so we have discussed infinite for loop, this one. Then after nested for loop and also normal for loop. So always remember, when it comes to array, initialization execute only one. Condition will execute number of time based on the situation until this condition false. Then after it will run the statement. After that it will move into the increment or decrement. So condition output, increment or decrement, condition output until this condition became false. So if you have any question, you can comment down. We'll make with the next loop, that means while and do while loops.